wellness is like, again, food, body, emotional well-being, spiritual growth. To be well is to be in this abundant state of wholeness, this totality, right?
Right.
It's like how we show up moment to moment in this beautiful abundance of energy, vitality, life force, what Ayurveda would say, the prana, right? This inspiration, this love, all of it. So we get there in this multifactorial way. It is important what we eat, but it's not the end all be all. We want to eat well. We want to meditate so everything works together. We want to have tools for managing our emotions and our moods.
Absolutely.
We want to take care of the physical body.
Right.
So wellness is, to me, this totality. It's holistic. We need to take a holistic approach.
Peace and riches blessings. I am Michael B. Beckwith, the host of Take Back Your Mind. Peace and riches blessings, everyone, and welcome to Take Back Your Mind. And as I like to say, take back your mind and open your heart. I'm the host, Michael B. Beckwith, and we like to have beautiful conversations with beautiful people who are, in their own way, assisting people to take back their mind from the hijacking, worry, doubt, and fear, and a deep sense of separation from source, deep sense of separation from their essential nature. So today, guess what? I'm with Kimberly Snyder, multiple-time New York Times bestselling author, spiritual meditation teacher, international speaker, nutritionist, and holistic wellness expert. She's authored 6 books, 2 of which are being published this year, including Radical Beauty, which you co-authored with Deepak Chopra, and You Are More Than You Think You Are, Practical Enlightenment for Everyday Life. She's also the founder of Solluna, a holistic lifestyle brand that offers supplements, wellness products, the HeartAlign System, meditations and tools, and digestional courses. She hosts top-rated feel-good podcasts with Kimberly Snyder on the Podcast One network with over 24 million total downloads, and is regularly featured in numerous national media outlets, including Good Morning America, The Today Show, New York Times, Ellen, Vogue, and the Wall Street Journal. Kimberly, welcome to Take Back Your Mind.
Thank you so much, Reverend. It's great to be here with you.
Absolutely. It's great to meet you again.
Yes.
You were reminding me about the time we locked eyes at Gracias Madre a few years ago.
It was one of those experiences that I'll never forget. We walked into, it was a dinner party with, I think, a dozen or so people. And I walked in and you were the first person I saw. We locked eyes. I walked up to the table and you said emphatically, "Oh, you are with child." And I think I had just taken a pregnancy test a few days earlier. No one knew I was pregnant and you just felt it. Then you also said to me, "I think it's a boy." My son is 3 now, so it was an amazing moment.
That's beautiful. When I walked in, I saw you. I said, I know her.
Wait.
So what's your boy's name?
Moses.
Okay. And what is your other child's name?
So my other child's name is Emerson.
Yeah.
And about a week before he was born, I had such a strong dream. I want to be called Emerson. So I often wondered, if he's linked to the soul of Ralph Waldo Emerson, or he has some of those qualities.
And so why Moses? I mean, obviously we know who Moses was, but what brought that up?
So I'm a student of all different spiritual traditions. I love the story of Moses. My husband is Jewish, so we wanted a name that was sort of, culturally, intersected.
Right, because Moses was intersected.
Yes, exactly. So we love to tell these parables and these stories to our children from the Bible, from the Bhagavad Gita. We have all the different faiths at home. So we talk about that. We talk about this, being able to really speak to spirit and all the amazing stories that happened.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your background and what kind of insights led you to this person that you are living today's holistic health style, practicing of meditation, teaching of meditation. What spurred that?
So I talk about in this new book, and so much of my passion now, Reverend, is really about the true self. Like, who are we really? And so when I look back on my journey now, over 15 years ago, I was so insecure. I was suffering so much because my identity was literally the ego, the opposite of the false self. I had eating disorders. I was obsessed with being number one in my class. I was anxious. I was bloated. I had insomnia. And so I felt propelled out of this, like so much suffering, to go out to explore the world. So I literally saved some money after college, and I ended up backpacking for 3 years by myself. And those 3 years were mostly in Africa and Asia. So I was out of the Western mindset. I had a tent and I camped across 13 countries in Africa.
Really?
Yes, just pure seeking and trust. And there were some interesting incidents with animals, but I just felt really at home wherever I was. I also went all across Asia, Mongolia, Thailand. My mother's from the Philippines, like all the island, everywhere. And what happened on that journey was I went to India as well. And I came across the teachings of Parahamsa Yogananda. And the first time, similarly, these experiences, like remembering with you, I read this book in a little tiny bookshop in Rishikesh. It was How to Talk to God. And I felt this fire in my spine.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, what is this? I was raised Catholic, and I always felt connected to Jesus, but not so much the particular church we went to. So then Yogananda was talking about this oneness and this bridging between, all the God is the mountain and Christianity and Hinduism and all these ways. And even to this day, Reverend, I felt this, like I'm alive.
Yes.
So that started my path. And so I came back to New York City after that. I started taking Kriya lessons. I started to apply Kriya. My spine was like on fire.
Yes.
So what happened was I actually went into college, pre-med. I was really interested in biology. I didn't end up being a doctor. But the first thing I did when I came back was I got my nutrition training. I started teaching yoga. And I was just working out right? It was like first I had to heal this energy of food because it was such an obsession in my life. And I had really bad acne and my hair wouldn't grow, all these things. It was like, again, ego out here. I wasn't happy with myself. And so all I did, Reverend, was I started a free blog. And it was about healing. It was about Africa. It was about all these things that I had learned about true beauty beyond defining ourselves with number, beyond calories and how old we are and how much we weigh. And all I did was tell my yoga students about this blog. And it started spreading throughout New York City. And then I got my first celebrity client, Uma Thurman, and I got on a film set.
I know her dad really well.
Oh, yes. He's amazing as well.
Yeah.
And then I started doing Good Morning America segments, and then the first book deal came, and then I was working with so many celebrities. I moved to LA, and things just started happening. But I really credit that Kriya Yoga taking me into my deepest center and making me realize who I was. And so the journey continues, and this is my 6th book where I'm really saying, hey, this is what really helped me. Food's a part of the journey, the holistic wellness part. How we eat, everything is energy, who we're around, our relationships. We need to exercise, but it all works in tandem. So my brand today, Reverend Talks at Solluna, is based on 4 cornerstones: food, body, emotional well-being, and spiritual growth.
Right. Talk about each cornerstone.
So food is fundamental, right? All the yogis, Yogananda, Swameshwar Yogdeshwar, they all had a component of their teachings around diet because it's not the end-all, be-all, but we know that what we eat has it integrates in our body, and it can either elevate our meditations or it can make us feel more dense. So food is an essential component. Body, we're having this embodied experience. So moving around, how we take care of our body is important because if we're riddled with aches and pains, it becomes very difficult to progress, right, spiritually. And then emotional well-being, this is a huge topic of Yogananda. If we're subject to moods all the time, if we have no tools, if we identify with the anger or the frustration or the jealousy, we're up and down like a ping pong ball, we can't go into this stillness.
Right.
And then the spiritual growth is that true self, and all the different pathways, the meditations, the prayer. And so what I find, Reverend, in my work is when people like me earlier in my journey are obsessed with food and body, it's got to work out more, more nutritional information. It's almost always because we're not nourishing the formless parts, the emotional and the spiritual, right? It all works together. And so when we connect to that inside, everything works. Right? It's inner and outer.
You're definitely speaking my language.
Yes, I know. And that's why I've, just been such a huge fan of your books and your work and your energy for so many years.
Yeah, everything you're saying. I mean, the food can be empty calories.
Yes.
It can be dense. It can keep your meditation stymied, or it can make you fall prey to the moods.
Yes.
Many people are slave to moods. They actually think that they are their mood.
Yes.
They'll identify, I am this mood. And then the body becomes addicted to that mood, and then the body will produce those chemicals and look for something to create that mood.
Yes.
So people are not awake to the truth that they're being controlled, and they're not sovereign. They're not awake.
Yes.
So you're covering these 4 domains perfectly. Now today you have this book, You Are More Than You Think. I like the title.
Thank you.
Now, was there a turning point in your life that allowed this book to emerge, that inspired you to write it, so to speak? Or it's just a culmination of everything you've been doing?
So I wrote this book, Reverend. I think I signed my book deal, again, the same child, my second child that you saw. It was about 3 days before I gave birth is when I signed the deal. And it was a few weeks, it was 34, I remember I was 34 weeks pregnant. And it's usually when women start to, slow down a little bit. And this is, getting towards that, period. I'm going to take a break. And it came in one day because I've been speaking about Yogananda for years, but my books have been about, I wrote the Ayurvedic book with Deepak Chopra, and it's been about, food and different aspects, meditation, but not so specific. And then the message came down so clearly, share this, share the source. Right? So really featuring my guru and where my life really changed was to see I am not this, but this abundant wholeness. And then the more I connected with this, the more I was so passionate, Reverend, about teaching this, especially to women and all people, of course.
Right.
But we have so many insecurities and so much suffering because we're trying to be good enough from the outside. Am I wearing enough makeup? Is my hair good enough? Do I have enough, nowadays, followers?
How many likes?
It's endless. Like, is my salary? Am I doing enough as a working mom? It's just so much, and I see that in the world. So this would have been in the, the beginning of COVID. This book was starting to be written, it just came in. And I thought, how am I going to write this? Home with 2 young kids, COVID's hitting, there's no school, nothing. But it just flowed, Reverend. I've never had an experience writing a book where it just came through.
Wow. So it's just like the process was more like it got delivered through you.
That's right. Yeah. And so how it's divided are these topics that Yogananda talks about that are so relevant for the modern world. Confidence, vitality, beauty, right? And how do we really access these qualities? Because in our abundant wholeness, it's all inside of us.
Right.
But then we're grasping all the time out here, and so always suffering and feeling unfulfilled.
What are the people's major blocks keeping them from this kind of realization?
So for me, it's because it sounds nice, right, Reverend? We say, well, you're the energy inside. And people look in the mirror and they're like, well, this is actually what I look like. And this is what my life looks like, right? Because that's all created from the past is what's showing up now. Yeah. So I think one of the major blocks today is carving out that time. You and I talk about how much we love to meditate or creating stillness, silence, where suddenly we start to feel, it's an experiential, right? You can't just tell it to someone. We have to actually get to that place where we dedicate enough. It doesn't have to be all day, every day, of course, but just the regularity of these practices.
Yes.
A few minutes of meditation, finding stillness, turning off the screens, going in your car for a minute without talking. For me, that was where everything started to shift. And I was living in New York City at the time. I was broke, Reverend, after that backpacking trip. I would buy 3 oranges for $1 on the street for lunch. I was trying to stretch every penny.
Right.
But I would sit on the edge of that Murphy bed, and I was doing my Kriya yoga.
Right.
And I felt what started to become more real was this fire in my spine.
Yes.
So today, I think people are like, oh, every spare minute, I'm just going to go on TikTok. We have to be disciplined.
Yes.
And realize that this inner world needs attention
Yes.
and energy so that we can connect to it.
Yes, I call that blisscipline.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, when you have a level of, because discipline comes from disciple, which means like to
Yes.
love. When you love something so much, you become a disciple. And then if you develop a discipline, then it becomes a blisscipline. If you love music and you're practicing the piano, your love of the music then becomes a blisscipline. But you're reminding me of, I just did a talk recently up in Oakland, and I remember when I got up to speak, I didn't have a script. I didn't know what I was going to talk about particularly, but I remembered a couple of Michaels, a couple of iterations of Michael. And I remembered one of the Michaels, as you're talking about being broke, sitting in his living room, and he had this spiritual awakening, but he didn't know what he was going to do with his life. And he was sitting in the living room, and he said, "What do you want me to do?" Like that. And the phone rang, and there was a woman on the phone saying, "God told me to call you, that you could help me." And so I began to counsel this woman over the phone, a woman I'd gone to high school with.
Wow.
And it turned into her referring people to me. I didn't have any licenses at this time. I didn't have any agape or degrees or any of that. It was just me being awake. And I thought about that, Michael. As you're talking about, you were on your Murphy bed, not having anything. I knew that, and so I just started. I said, the reason I love what I'm doing this for that Michael
Yes.
that didn't have anything, and now he gets to speak about what he knows and what he has come through. And I too loved Parahamsa Yogananda. One of my best friends was a Kriya, and we would go over his house and have these long meditation retreats and things of that particular nature. And I was going to go be a monk, and they told me I couldn't because I had a son and a woman, and they said I had to do the path of the householder.
Right.
And so I'm sitting in. I'll say his name. His name was Jimmy Knight. He was Kriya, still is, and he was a professor at UCLA. And we were sitting in his living room, and Parahamsa appeared to me.
Wow.
And I was looking around saying, is this really happening? And he told me to go direct. He said, you don't need a guru right now, just go direct. And that became my path. But he was a very powerful teacher in my life. Still is. I mean, I have his picture in my altar in my room.
Beautiful.
He's one of the people that I love very dearly. So when you're talking, when I can see you on the Murphy bed, with nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing but your practice and nothing but your love of God. And it's unfolded to 6 books, all of these beautiful beings emanating from the depth of your soul. So I can see Michael in that living room with nothing. Didn't have any money to pay for anything, but he had this awareness of, okay, I've had this awakening. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do with it? And the phone rang.
Openness.
Yeah. And this is the interesting thing about that. I saw that woman in a restaurant a number of months later. And when she saw me, she left because she was embarrassed about all the things that she had told me over the phone.
Oh.
She told me that she had saw my phone number in the high school annual, because I hadn't seen her since high school. But I didn't have that phone number in high school, and my phone number was unlisted. So I don't know how she got the number, whether it appeared in her annual.
Whoa.
But it opened me up to, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do.
She was part of the path.
She was just part of the path. This is what I'm supposed to do. And then that led me to being a therapist. It led me to go into the school of ministry and other things that it was just God saying, okay, this is what I want you to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you followed those breadcrumbs.
I followed those breadcrumbs but that guy's still here.
Yeah.
I still wake up every single day with a gratitude that I get to do what I do, even though there are challenges in life.
You know what, Reverend? That's so inspiring. And I think that one of the blocks, you asked me what blocks
Yes.
people today, Yogananda says, the funny thing about this world is that the things that are really real don't seem real, and the things that aren't really real seem so real, right? We live in an age that I think is hyper intellectual, right? It's not of the heart all the time. It's so many of the thoughts, so much of the doubt and the fear and the playing things. And so people look at their lives, they say, well, maybe I can make it incrementally better, but this is sort of how, this is my lot in life, or they just accept how it is. What you and I discovered is that outer reality follows inner energy, right?
Yes.
Energy precedes form.
Yes.
So when you're working and being in touch with that incredible abundance, which we all have access to, it starts to shapeshift our outer world.
Yes.
And so I'm living proof of that. You're living proof of that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I was really broke.
Yeah, me too. We can laugh at that now, but I had
It wasn't so funny back then.
no, I had a son, and it was challenging on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah.
So miracles showed up. Financial miracles would show up on time, just letting me know that out of nothing at all, what you need will be provided if you stay true to your inner core. Because as you say, that which is within us, is greater than that which is outside of us. But discipline, consistency is important. When you were broke, I know you were doing your Kriyas. What else did you do? What other practices did you do to allow you to become stabilized in this expanded awareness?
Thank you, Reverend, because I also don't want it to feel like pie in the sky, like, I
Right.
had this energy and it all happened overnight. It was like this, right? So I was running around the city. I didn't even have the money to pay for a monthly subway ticket. So I was walking so much a day. I was starting to teach yoga privates. I was, just making as much money as I could during the day. And then at night, I bought this book at Barnes & Noble on how to write a treatment for a book. So I was teaching myself, okay, I had this burning desire to write a book. So then I was doing the work in the evening, writing sample chapters, researching literary agents. I was saying, hey, I'm going to move this forward, right? So I was doing the Kriya at night, which was keeping that fire alive, because Yogananda talks about the will so much, and what I talk about in this book, our will, dynamic will. He said it can move mountains. So part of that consistency is saying, well, I'm not going to accept this smallness. I feel I'm meant to do more. I feel these dreams inside of me. I feel it's burning, but we need to take inspired action.
Yes.
So I want to make that clear. It wasn't just,
No,
let me sit
this is
around.
important. Yeah.
So I was, I wasn't just hanging out. I wasn't, going out and drinking. I was working
You were
from
drinking
morning.
the nectar of the spirit.
That's right. From early in the morning, I get up, I do my meditation, and I'd start hustling, right? I was doing all these different things. I was still going to nutrition school. I was working at this cafe. I was teaching yoga privates. I was I started the free blog. And then at night, I was studying. I was sending out proposals. I was doing all that I could. And then it's just started to, all of a sudden it started to catch. And all of a sudden, it's like, whoa, all these people are reading my blog.
Right.
And then the producer of Good Morning America found it, and then
Right.
these celebrities. I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like you said, Reverend, it was just, but I wasn't focused on the end result. I also want to say that I wasn't.
This is very important.
Yes, I wasn't sitting there like, this is my expectation a certain time. What I was focused on was that moment. I was putting my energy and my will into that moment and putting as much quality and so much, and just moment after moment. And everything started to unfold even bigger than I could have imagined.
Yes.
Way bigger than my little ego could have thought, right?
Yes.
So it was this, because I think people talk a lot about, so detailed with their goals. And, there's certain ways to do things, and that can be, how they manifest. But for me, it was, I'm going to give everything to this meditation.
Yes.
I'm going to give everything to this thing, this one article I'm writing,
Yes.
this blog. I'm going to pour my whole heart. That creates our future, these series of moments.
You said two very powerful things. One is something that I like to say is that action without vision is chaos, but vision without action is fantasy. So you talked about the fact that you have to have inspired action.
Yes.
But that action is you're actually being pulled by something. And then you reminded us that you have to be like totally involved without attachment to an outcome.
Yes.
So that the outcome is formed by your total involvement.
Yes.
And it goes beyond your imagination, is what you said. because oftentimes people will, it's good to be specific, but if you try to outline totally how it is to look, then you actually limit the infinite.
That's it.
Because
you pin it down.
You pin it down because the infinite, the unknown, is bigger than your present paradigm.
That's right.
So if you have inspired action in this moment, that energy gets to form around that energy, and it takes you beyond who you think you are at this moment. You are more than you think you are.
And remember, there's a chapter in here called "You're a Warrior," right? And it pretty much sums up how, it's like this thick. Yogananda did this amazing commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, which is basically this analogy of being a warrior in our life. Yeah. And he talks about purpose, right? So it's combining our skills with our unique energy, what we can bring, this blueprint, with serving, with the collective. We're not just here on an island to ourselves. When I look back on my journey, Reverend, there's one thing that also fueled every action, and it was this. I'm so excited to share this. I'm so excited to share this principle about true beauty. I'm so excited to share this. I'll give you an example. In my little kitchenette, in my tiny little 400 square bedroom, one day I felt inspired to combine spinach and banana, this weird combination, in my blender with water. And I blended it. And I tried it. I was like, it's kind of good. And so my boyfriend at the time, I was like, hey, try this. And he said, yeah, it's pretty good. I was like, this is so good. It's pre-digested. It's full of nutrients. It's got fiber. Fast forward. So it became known as my glowing green smoothie. Wow. Fast forward, I think 2 years later, I'm on the Dr. Oz show, right on live television, huge studio audience. And I see Dr. Oz saying, Kimberly Snyder's glowing green smoothie. And it was one of those moments where time really slows down.
Right.
And it was like in that moment, I was expanded into what is going on. From my little kitchenette, that little recipe I made is now this national
glowing green smoothie.
Yeah. Really. And it was, then I made it on every show, like Ellen and, right. Vogue featured it and all these, everywhere, Good Morning America, all these celebrities were drinking it. And it came from this very, I would say almost innocent, I really want to share something that made me feel good.
Right.
So that was part of it too. I can't just do it for myself, but I want to share. I want to help others. I want others to feel good too. It's like a very natural part of the journey.
Yeah, you said two things. Service.
Yes.
We're here to be of service.
Yes.
It's not just about our little ego and taking care of ourselves. It's about allowing the energy to flow. I always teach we only get to keep what we give away.
That's good.
We keep the energy we share becomes a part of our consciousness. We take that with us everywhere we go. Everything we try to hoard or keep to ourselves, we end up losing. So service is a big component of what you're talking about. And then the feeling good.
Yes.
This is a part of your dynamic of your book. You talk about feeling good as a part of the energy.
It's also the name of my podcast, Reverend, is the Feel Good Podcast, right? And it's not just inauthentic, let me paint on this fake happiness. But to me, feeling good is about this authentic wholeness of who we are. And so when we touch that, and meditation is a really practical way to cultivate that experience. But it also happens in the moments when we're, washing the dishes, or you could be playing with your dog and you're just sort of lost in this nowness without thinking. It feels so good to be in that, you can't even put it in words, but this wholeness. And to create from that place means we're not creating from a place of lack.
Right.
We're not speaking from a place of fear.
This is important.
Yeah, because so much of it today, again, going back to the blocks of today, especially, I don't say just women, but my community is largely women, but people in general are always looking out. Oh, look, I don't have the fit enough body, or I don't have as many attention, or the validation, or the likes, or it's always like lack, not enoughness. But it can't just be painted on, right? You can't just manufacture that. It comes, this unique beauty is inside of all of us, and it really comes when we bring it out. We need to touch it, and then it emanates.
Yeah. Now you're speaking spiritual law. When you cultivate the feeling tone of feeling good, you are creating from abundance. You can't create from lack. So I like to invite people to just think of moments where they feel good.
Yes.
Or think of parts of their life that make them feel good.
Yes.
And then create from that. Affirm from that. Declare and decree from that. Don't declare and decree from, I don't have enough and I'm going to make this happen.
Yes.
But declare and decree and pray from the feeling good consciousness, even though a part of your mind is thinking, well, I don't have enough money, or I'm overweight, or whatever the case may be, you actually develop a discipline of feeling good. You find any area of your life that makes you feel good, like your kid or whatever. You put a smile on your face. You let those tonic chemicals flow through the temple. And now you pray. Now you declare. And you are actually creating from abundance.
Fullness.
Yeah, from wholeness.
Beautiful.
You know, there's a scripture that says, to he or she who has more is given, but to he or she who has not, that which they have shall be taken away. So it's not personal. If you feel that you have, even if you don't have in the physical.
Yes, you have to go past that.
Yeah, but if you feel that you have, more is given. But if you feel you don't have not, then you end up creating an energy of that which you do have, you can lose. It's just law. So we're training people to just come into that level of coherence around being and having, even before it actually manifests.
And that's the key part, Reverend, because again, it's easy to sit and sit on that Murphy bed and be like, oh man, I don't know, I'm going to pay rent again this month. I'm going to fall behind. Like, this is so hard. Life is so hard. It's easy to go down those darker pathways, but that's where the consistency is important. Like you said, going into those moments and, morning, evening meditation, the moments during the day where you lift yourself up. Right. And I'll share a quick story about Deepak. So there's a chapter in the book, Yogananda talks a lot about magnetism. So when you're saying, when we're coming from lack, it's like this pushing. But when we have this energy inside of us, we're magnetic, things pull in. So my third book was called The Beauty Detox Power. And it was the first book I think I started crossing from, physical wellness into, it talked about the chakras, it talked about energy. It was a spiritual book. And so I said, in my wildest dreams, the person I'd love to endorse this book is Deepak Chopra, because he, was a doctor, but bringing, of course, Eastern and Western philosophy together. So I sent the book to him and nothing happened for a very long time. And I just said, no, it's going to happen. I was just feeling it, my meditations. And then guess what? One day I get this email from his manager saying, oh, Deepak, loved your book. Here's a quote. And I was like, oh, amazing. But Reverend, something inside of me said you're meant to do something more. So I kept going into that feeling, so more with Deepak. So I just felt that. I was living in New York City at the time. So guess what happened? One day I was supposed to go to a meeting across, I think it was like 23rd Street. And where I lived in the West Village, I would always cut across Union Square. Something inside me said, go on the perimeter of the park. So I walked. Who would I run into on the street? Deepak Chopra. And I was like this, my mouth was, I said, Deepak, it's me, Kimberly Snyder. You just reviewed my book. And he's like, oh, wow, yeah. He had no idea what I looked like, probably just sent the book. And so he gave me his cell phone number. I broke through. Right. And then he said, yeah, let's talk about it. So I texted him. We went out to coffee, Reverend. And in 2 hours, we decided to write a book called Radical Beauty, which became a New York Times bestseller. We wrote our 6 principles in that 2-hour coffee meeting. I literally ran into him on the street.
That's fantastic.
It's energy. Like you said, it's a law.
It was law. It was meant to happen.
Yeah.
You opened yourself up to it, and there you are. You're meeting him walking down the street.
Like, boom.
Yeah.
Physically, in person.
Yeah. So, I've known Deepak for years.
I know you do.
Way back, I was with him. Him, Marianne Williamson, Tony Robbins, Barbara DeAngelis. It was a bunch of us met and hung out for a weekend together.
Really?
And just meditated, and we just had all these great ideas, and some of them manifested. And this is before he was on Oprah or anything.
Wow.
And he was about to go on we were doing this big program together. And I met, and the day before he went on Oprah's first time, something was going on. And I said, Deepak, tomorrow you're going on Oprah.
Wow.
I said, you're going to be so big. I said, when they hear that you're a doctor and you throw that Indian accent on them, it's over. It's going to be all over.
So you foresaw it.
Yeah. I said, now, after tomorrow, return my phone calls.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So you've always had this vision.
He was.
No, but you saw it in me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I was pregnant.
But I saw him because I'd seen him speak at the Silmar Conference grounds. He came to speak at the New Thought Conference. And I said, this man, because of his synthesis of, at that time, the holistic medical or Vedic model, along with the spiritual principles, I said, he's the next Rishi. This
Wow,
guy's
it's going to pop.
Yeah, it's going to pop. And it has happened in a very powerful way.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're all so connected.
We are. So you wrote a book with him.
Yes.
It's powerful. We did something together at his place, and we were going back and forth speaking, and he said, I know these principles so well. He said, oh, Michael Beckwith is a savant. He called me a savant.
That's a nice compliment.
Yeah. I love that guy. He's beautiful. Now, tell me a little bit more. Let people know, because we're talking about Parahamsa Yogananda.
Oh, yeah.
But they may not know who Parahamsa Yogananda is.
Yeah, that's true.
So break that down a little bit, because I know some people may have or may not have read the autobiography of Yogi or some of his other books.
So Yogananda was a monk from India, and he came over in 1920. Yeah. And he was really the first Indian monk who came and established himself in the United States and established yoga here.
Right.
And he came with such force, Reverend, again, coming from that dynamic world. He was speaking from such force when he started teaching about oneness, about the intersection of East and West. He put Christ on the altar with Krishna and saying this love, this wholeness is the foundation of all true religions. He was speaking with such force. He went all the way to meet with President Calvin Coolidge, who at the time was the president of the United States. Thousands of people were coming to these lectures of his. They never heard this type of information before, and he was teaching people meditation. Right. And this meditation, Kriya Yoga, is about going into your spine, creating a magnet. We're always flowing out here, like we said, so much attention, so much energy in the senses and what we're hearing. And Kriya Yoga is about bringing it so centrally that we touch source. We touch this true self. Energy, I love that term. It's like who we really are on the inside. So he was so passionate. He wrote autobiography, as you mentioned, and then he wrote out these lessons on by the Self-Realization Fellowship on how to learn Kriya Yoga. They're home study lessons. Then you go in and get initiated by a monk. And what I can say, and why I'm so passionate about bringing it forward, when I started doing Kriya, as I mentioned, Reverend, when I was a broke backpacker, I came all dirty, dreadlocks, coming back from Africa.
You were locked?
I mean, not intentionally, but I was out there for weeks without shower. I mean, it was, I was
you were out there.
Out there. When people talk about backpacking and they're staying at their little
no.
They were
glamping.
Oh, no. I was out there. And so I came back, and as I mentioned, here was the first time. It was exciting to me too, Reverend, because it was putting together what I had learned about Jesus growing up. And then, this isn't Hinduism, this is oneness, right? It's just showing this through line between all philosophies and all religions. It was about the true self. It's about the heart.
Right.
It's about this energy inside of us, and that changed my life.
Right. I think we're living in a post-religious time in which people are going beyond religiosity and coming back to what the religion is supposed to be about.
Yes.
Which is to transcend ego, transcend religion, and actually go into the field of oneness. Actually go into the field of unity. All religions are supposed to do that, but many people get stuck in the religion.
In the dogma, yeah.
I'm a Christian, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Hindu, but they are to basically take us beyond, back into the field of oneness, to the real self, the essential self, the authentic self, that which is real, that the invisible, indivisible self. But many people get caught, and then in that divisiveness, there's arguments, there's anger, there's
separation.
My God is bigger than your God.
Yeah.
But it's all one.
It's like, this is right, this is wrong.
Right.
Yogananda, when he first came on that boat, Reverend, I love this story too. It was 1920, and he didn't speak English. So imagine he's coming on the boat, and people are like, "What?" He's got his garb, his orange robes, and it's the he lands in Boston, and it's the conference for
Parliament of World Religions.
Yes, and so he tells this story. He gets up to speak, and he focuses on this part of the brain where the medulla oblongata, where he says the energy comes in, and he was nervous, but he just kind of went in. He opened his mouth, Reverend, and he gave the most beautiful talk which today is published in a book. And I love to read this book. It's called The Science of Religion.
Yes.
And he was speaking about the real purpose of religion is to put us in that state of continual bliss and to eliminate pain and suffering. Most people don't think of that as religion. They're like, oh, it's a bunch of rules. It makes me feel guilty. It makes me feel bad. No, but the true religion, like we said, is to contact this bliss and this joy. And if people knew that definition, and if it was that excessively put out, people would flock again back to it. But unfortunately, like you said, there's been power struggles, there's been dogma, there's been separatism, there's been me versus you, this is better than that.
Religion used to control people,
to
keep people under control, to dominate people and things of that particular nature, rather than the real meaning of religion. It means to return back to the source.
Yes.
So people have lost the real meaning of religion. It has become containers of separation. But individuals like Parahamsa Yogananda and other great avatars who have walked the planet transcend religion.
That's right.
And
exactly.
Bring us back to a great sense of oneness.
This truth and to oneness. Now we come full circle, Reverend, when you asked me about my philosophy of holistic wellness. People today don't even really know what wellness is. It's $1 billion industry, and people are like, well,
break it down for us, sister.
Listen,
break it down for us, sister. You speaking my language.
All right. So people are like, well, these are my stats. Here's my HRV. Here's how much I weigh. Here's my BMI, right? So wellness is like, again, food, body, emotional well-being, spiritual growth. To be well is to be in this abundant state of wholeness, this totality, right? It's like how we show up moment to moment in this beautiful abundance of energy, vitality, life force. What Ayurveda would say, the prana, right? This inspiration, this love, all of it. So we get there in this multifactorial way. It is important what we eat, but it's not the end all be all. We want to eat well. We want to meditate so everything works together. We want to have tools for managing our emotions and our moods. We want to take care of the physical body. So wellness is, to me, this totality. It's holistic. We need to take a holistic approach. And then it's and when you look at it, how blissful am I? How much am I enjoying my life? How much am I in pain, aching, suffering, right? People can weigh the perfect amount and have the perfect fitness, and they're miserable.
Yeah, right. Be totally
That's not
unhappy.
Wellness.
Right.
No.
Yeah. So you have a supplement line.
So it's digestion focused.
Okay, so
Reverend?
tell us about that as well, and what kind of supplements do you think people are missing or need to add to the temple?
Okay, so I think that in Ayurveda lays this out, the foundation of physical health, a large, huge part of it comes down to Agni. It comes down to your digestive health. Why? Because again, we're assimilating that energy from these foods and these amazing plants and nature, and we're bringing it in to fortify our ojas, our prana, our vitality. So we are not what we eat, Reverend. We are what we digest and assimilate,
That's good. I like
right?
that. Yes.
So people are focused on the minutia. Oh, did I get enough riboflavin? People always come to me all the time. Oh, like these little things. And I say, don't even worry about that if you're not digesting.
Right.
So Solluna, we have 3 core supplements, and this is what changed my life physically and opened me up to more energy. SBO probiotics. This stands for soil-borne organism probiotics, because all of our ancestors, whether they came from Nigeria or the Philippines or England, didn't have running water. So they would eat a little bit of unwashed fruits and vegetables. They'd eat a little bit of dirt.
Yeah. Right.
And in that
like
dirt,
we did as kids.
That's right. It contains really hardy bacterium that gets through. So it's not about the marketing. It's not saying 50 billion culture count. This is our natural ratio and balance when we take these probiotics. So across the board, all my clients and myself have those every day. Then I take digestive enzymes before I eat, which helps you break down the food, assimilate.
I take them with snacks.
It's so powerful. Then you're not burning all your vitality. And then we have another product called Detoxy, which is stable vitamin C, known as ASE2P. It's magnesium. I should have brought some to you today, Rev. And you take it.
You can still bring me some.
I will. It's amazing. And what it does is it cleanses you, but it's non-habit forming. It just helps to get between the colon wall and the old waste. And it's not a laxative. It's not habit forming. It's cleaning out all the gunk. So what flows, because imagine 98% of your blood flow goes through your colon. It can pick up excess toxins. We want to be alive. We need to build our temple on fresh cleanness, right? It's like if this desk was full of dirt and then we just kept putting pretty flowers on top
of it. Yeah,
right? So the Detoxy is something that it's oxygen, and there's research around ASC2 plus nascent oxygen stops your telomeres from fraying, which of course is like a major role of aging. So you need to get the foundation, Rev, right? We need to get the digestion, and then you can look and say, oh, well, personalized, this and that. People do blood work today. You can see, oh, I need to get more vitamin D or whatever it is.
Right.
But the digestion is primary, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I do pretty much what you're talking about.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's the digestion when we talk, it's like this permeation. It's the way that we transmute this energy. So people are spending thousands of dollars a month on organic food or all these supplements, and they're not necessarily able to assimilate it.
Absolutely.
And
just going through.
Yeah, and I see it in people's energy all the time. When I meet with clients, I'll feel different parts of their body. I can see that there's still a lot of bloating, a lot of pushing off the bone. The digestion is off. If digestion's off, you're never going to get really.
I carry my digestive enzyme in my pocket.
Amazing.
Just in case I run into a meal.
That's right, because you don't have a purse, Reverend. I have him always.
I got it right here in my pocket.
I
right
love
now.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and I have, obviously I take probiotics and prebiotics and all of that. It's all a part of my product too.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I have to try your product too.
I'll have to get you some.
I already saw some of the more books I'm going to take from here. I'll have yours.
You can have whatever you need.
I love to have them around.
Yeah, we'll share stuff.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, anything else you want to share about this beautiful book? I thank you for my copy, too, that you signed to me. You are more than you think you are. Any techniques that you want to give to the folks?
So
you got so much in here. Giving love to be loved. Love is within.
What's great about those chapters, Reverend, is they're about 4 or 5 pages each, right? So you can read the book straight through, or you can, in that chapter, love is maybe one of my favorite chapters. And it was when my deepest experience in love was holding my mother as she passed. And it happened very quickly. We found out she had cancer on Valentine's Day. This would have been in 2017. And then 6 weeks later, she was gone. And so there was a moment where I could tell she was holding on. She didn't want to, let go of my dad. They've been married for over 40 years. And I remember when my prayers changed, Reverend, from please let her get well, please help her heal, to I pray for her soul to be in peace. And I had to say to her, and this was one of the hardest moments of my life, I had to say to her, Mom, you can let go. I will take care of Dad, who's with us here at the house now. I said, I will take care of Daddy. You can let go. And to me, that was, it makes me tear up at this moment, that kind of love that's like, it's not about me.
Right. You reminded me about my mom when she left. Same kind of thing. For some reason, I would drive home from the office every day and stop by her house. I didn't know she was sick. But and she said, why are you coming by every day? I said, I don't know. I would just come by and I would massage her head and just be with her. And then we found out the diagnosis, and she's in the hospital, and they said she was terminal and cancer. And I remember her sitting up in the hospital, and she said, there was beings in the room. And she said, no, buddy, I'm not ready to go yet. I'm going home, and I'm going to be at home for a while, say goodbye to everybody. Then I'm leaving. She stood just like that. So I drove her home, and we sat in front of the house, and we listened to Michael Jackson's song, Heal the World. We heard it over and over again. And we went inside. She got into bed. My mother and father were married about 60 years.
Wow.
And then she slowly left, but she left very conscious.
Oh.
We embraced, but it was very similar. But she said, "No, I'm not leaving yet. I'm going to go from home." She told whoever was in the room, the beings.
So conscious.
Yeah.
Wow.
She said, "Nobody." She said, whoever it was, she called it buddy. "Nobody. I'm going home." And we went home.
Exactly, and so that's what I speak about as well. I think. My final message here about the book, Reverend, about Guruji's message, and we talked about this out in the hallway, is this self-reliance, right? We don't need to get love from other people. We don't need to worry that
my language.
Love is
Speak my language.
Gone. I feel my mom, but the love is in here. And it's the same thing with parents, I think, as a mom. You're like, oh, my kids are grown. Like, oh, your love isn't going away.
Right.
It's that the other people help us light up the love in us.
Yes.
And all this confidence, we don't need other people to say you're good enough. All of these amazing qualities that we're seeking are within.
Yes.
And there are a lot of practical tools, some of the preliminary meditations, journaling prompts in this book to help bring that out, the ones that really helped me. And when she left, oof, did that also accelerate my spiritual progress as well. So it's all inside of us, including this love, this incredible love all the time.
Yeah. It's so true because we've been prone to try to get love from someone. And what happens is that turns people into stalkers. They don't understand that they're stalking somebody to get something from somebody.
Yeah.
You're going to make me happy. You're going to make me feel better about myself.
That's right.
And so they end up stalking people. They don't know they're becoming a stalker. So basically, a real relationship is when individuals really understand that it's two wholes coming together to, I call it a joint participation in the good of God.
Beautiful.
They're participating in a field that's bigger than both of them, but they're not trying to get it from each other.
That's right.
You know, it's like two fish swimming in the ocean. One fish may say to the other fish, baby, if you do what I say, I'm gonna give you all the water you can handle. You know, but they're swimming in an ocean. You know,
you already got it.
Yeah, that's what people are doing. Oh, if you do whatever, I'm going to give you all this love. You can't give me what I already have, but we can swim in it together.
That's it.
We can share together. We can love together. We can glow together.
That's it.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Reverend, I have so many friends and so many people write into me. They're on the dating apps. They're wanting the love.
Right.
But then again, they're coming from this lack place. Like, I need to have a boyfriend.
Right.
I need this. I need this. And so it's projected out.
Right.
I can say my experience when I felt good, it was really whole, and then I just organically met my husband at a dinner party. You know, it's like we show up in the world and things come in. And we don't have to be so pushy.
Right. People need to understand that it is better to be alone than to be with bad company.
That's right.
If you can love yourself by yourself, then you bring that into your friendships, your business partnerships, your intimates. But if you're not whole, then you bring those particular broken pieces into the relationship. And it's okay, you'll grow through it, and it will give you lessons and hopefully blessings. But it is better to do some kind of spiritual work, find that essential wholeness within yourself to the best of your ability, and then let the God times roll.
That's right. I love it. It's all in there. We can all access it.
Yeah, I mean, you might be on a Murphy bed with nothing.
Eating oranges
for dinner. Turn within, do your inner work, get a sense of connectedness without any sense of attachment, and then watch it show up in the visible. And next thing you know, we're sitting here together having a great conversation.
It's amazing. Yeah. Life is a miracle.
You know, and I can say to this woman, you're with child.
I love it.
Hey, any last words you want to say to these beautiful people out here from Take Back Your Mind?
Well,
anything we didn't cover?
I think we covered so much, Reverend, but I want to say that, you know, because sometimes people look at they look at you, Reverend, or they'll say, oh, look, you got to read all these books and things. We're all equal. Yogananda says all souls are equal. All of this is accessible.
Right.
We're sharing the tools, but everyone watching this, everyone listening to
We've both been broke.
This potential is within all of us, and that is the law.
Yeah.
So I hope this inspires everyone to go in and connect to the true self that's in each and every single one of us.
Absolutely. I always say there's no special people. They're just people who specialize.
Yes.
So when you were sitting on that Murphy bed, you were specializing your time, your attention, your consciousness, so that it's just like a person learning how to play the piano. They specialize, use their time to develop a level of discipline, to take those notes till they became music, till the music comes through them. They're not special, but they specialize.
Yes.
So you've sat in meditation, you've done your Kriya practices, you've studied, you were interested, you specialized your time, and so now you're touching all these people with your podcast, your books, your yoga practice. We're all equal on the soul level. God doesn't see anybody better than anyone else.
True.
And after a while, the veil dissolves, and we see every being as an extension of ourselves, which if we can all see that, wars would end. We would no longer follow our government dictates to go kill other people.
Yeah.
You know, we would listen to the government of the Christ upon our shoulders, and we would turn our swords into plowshares, and we would study war no more. And that's the age
Amen.
we want to move into.
That's right.
Yeah.
One by one.
One by one.
One soul at a time.
Yes. Thank you for being.
Thank you so much, Reverend.
You know who this is? This is Kimberly Snyder. This is called You Are More Than You Think You Are. And there's a couple other books coming out too, right?
Yeah, there's 2 more this year.
Just say the title so it's in there. Plant those seeds.
Yeah, so the next adult book is called Your Brilliant Heart, and it's also about Swami Sri Yukteswar's teaching and the science of heart coherence.
Right.
And the children's book is coming about heart coherence called Chilla Gorilla and Lanky Lemur, Journey to the Heart. It's teaching children to come to from their hearts and not from their egos.
And where can they find you?
They can find me on my website, mysolluna.com.
Spell it.
mysolluna.com.
There you have it. This is Kimberly Snyder. I've had such a great time with her, and I know you have too. Take back your mind, open your heart, live your best life. Peace and radical blessings. Radical blessings to you. This is our meditation portion of the Take Back Your Mind podcast. You know by now, meditation is extremely important to me. Something that I practice every single day. It's a part of my life structure, part of my daily way that I live my life. I encourage everyone to have a meditation practice. It is not like this, you better meditate. It's not to in any way create guilt when you miss your meditation. It's just to create a moment of encouragement, because meditation is a pathway to awakening. Awakening to what? Awakening to your real nature and being, beyond the personality, beyond your biological imperatives, beyond you thinking that you're merely the son or daughter of your parents. It awakens you to your essential nature, which is love and beauty and intelligence. The invisible becoming visible as your life. I encourage you to study and ultimately practice meditation that fits you. So at this particular moment, we will turn within, and that is, bring your attention from the external world and to turn within by closing the outer eye. Both of the eyes, just close them. Become aware that your body temple is breathing. Don't do anything to augment the breath. Of course, there are spiritual practices where you actually do practices with the breath. We're not doing that right now. You're just watching the breath. So you become aware that it is literally impossible for you to breathe in the future or to breathe in the past. The breath is present. Put a slight smile on your face. And to think about something that you love. It can be a friend, parent, a pet, an infant, a flower, a tree. Something that allows you to feel the frequency of love. And begin to bring your attention to the vibration of love. You're using something to let you remember and activate the love. And then you bring your attention to the love all by itself. There may be sounds in your room. There may be mind stuff that occurs, but right now, you keep bringing your attention to the feeling tone of love. And where your attention goes, energy flows. You become more and more aware of love. when we hear the age-old statement, what the world needs now is love. It's not just sweet, sentimental, romantic love. It's the total loving nature of pure spirit. The love without any withhold. The total unconditional, non-agenda, all-conditional love of God. The presence that is never an absence. We're meditating on love. You may become aware of distractions, but you're not going to allow distractions to distract you. Keep coming back to the breath and the feeling tone of divine love. Take a deep inhalation. Hold it at the apex. Let that love be magnified. Let it inform your nervous system. So as you breathe out, your entire nervous system, entire cells are flooded with divine love. Open your eyes. Let your eyes be the portal for blessing. So that everything you see is blessed with loving intentionality. Thank you for joining me in this sweet moment of meditation. Have a beautiful and bright day. You deserve it. I appreciate your letters and emails that you've been sending in, but also the notes you're sending on the Instagram and on the website, thanking me for Take Back Your Mind. And I thank you for your support. As I've said before, if you want to support Take Back Your Mind, support the sponsors. The main sponsor is the Agape International Spiritual Center, agapelive.com. We have a Facebook presentation, an Instagram presentation, a YouTube presentation, and a website presentation. You can donate to the sponsor at agapelive.com. It's one way that you can donate. It supports the podcast. Second sponsor is Nutrarise.com. You go to Nutrarise.com, those three lines up at the top, you touch that line, and you'll get Adaptozen. Adaptozen are my products. The Super Green Superfood Greens and the vitamin D3 K2. Both extremely good for your health, your nutrition. You support the sponsors, you're supporting the podcast. Have a beautiful, and as I like to say, a bright day, luminous day, because you are a luminous being. Peace and blessings. Your time is very valuable, so I want to thank you for lending us your ear and participating in taking back your mind. If you want to submit a question for the question of the week, please submit it to podcast@michaelbeckwith.com. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please submit a review and let us know your thoughts. Stay on top of current episodes by subscribing to the podcast so that you'll receive alerts and not miss one single episode. And feel free to share this podcast with all of your friends and family. And until we meet again, take back your mind, and you will take back your life. Peace and blessings.